No other country has needed this sort of anti-missile defense as much as the Israelis have. Iron Dome has sort of become the brand name for a robust anti-missile defense system. Lots of other countries would like it. We'd love one in Britain, but we've got nothing remotely like it in Britain. The Iron Dome system was developed during the 1990s from other systems which existed at the time, but it was only really after the year 2000, 2002 that the technologies began to come together to create the sort of efficient system which Iron Dome now represents. And it's only really in the last 10 years, 10 to 15 years, that the technologies of sophisticated, really fast computing and artificial intelligence, the ability to organize the whole system, the Iron Dome system, the Arrow system, the David Sling system, the Patriot system, put them all together into a really well integrated set of different radars where the Israeli air defense system can see a picture of exactly what's incoming. And in the case of ballistic missiles fired from Iran, they've only got about 12 minutes notice. And the system has shown that it can spot it, track it, decide what to do about it, whether to let it go or hit it, and if necessary, hit it with the right sort of missile, whether it's Arrow, David Sling, or Patriot, or Iron Dome. It's like a taxi rank system. They bring in the most useful missile against that incoming threat. It's worked very well so far. Like any system, the Iron Dome system could be computer hacked because it relies heavily on very efficient, fast, integrated computers. And some systems can be overwhelmed by decoys, by cyber attacks simultaneously, by ways of structuring an attack so that it comes in 3 or 4 phases, so the system does very well in the first 2 phases and then has got not much left for the 3rd and 4th phases. So every system can be overcome. A more relevant vulnerability really is not that it could be hacked, but it could be overwhelmed. Any defensive system can be overwhelmed by numbers. It's a very closely guarded state secret, of course, as to how many rockets, incoming rockets or missiles, the Iron Dome could really handle. What we are aware of is that in April, the Iranians threw 360, some say more than that, mixture of ballistic missiles, drones and cruise missiles at the whole system, and the system was very robust. It only let through about 7 of those and they didn't do any damage. On October the 1st, the Iranians look as if they threw about 180, some say nearer to 200 ballistic missiles at it. And again, the system wasn't absolutely perfect. Some did land and some were allowed to land because they weren't going to do any damage. The whole system was proved to be very robust. It can cope with hundreds of missiles simultaneously. Could it cope with thousands of missiles simultaneously? Jury's out on that question. Each Iron Dome battery costs about $50 million, and each shot, each interception that the battery makes costs about between $100,000 and $150,000, which is actually, in the scheme of things, quite cheap. I mean, Patriot batteries, by contrast, they cost $1 billion each, and about $400 million is the cost of the battery, and $600 million is the cost of all of the rockets that they fire off. So in the scheme of costs, Iron Dome is not so expensive, but then it's doing a very good job, but a more limited job in a relatively small territory. So you can get away with a less expensive system in those circumstances. No other country has this sort of system, and Israel has advantages. 1, they've had a lot of American help. 2, they've got a very sophisticated high-tech industry of their own. And 3, they're a small country. It'd be very hard to imagine the Ukrainians, for instance, having a system as good as this, because Ukraine is such a huge country, biggest country in Europe, apart from Russia itself, 44 million people, only 10 million people in Israel, and most of the 10 million people in Israel live in relatively small cities, which tend to be in the north of the country. So the job the Israelis have got in defending their people is rather less than the job most other countries would have. So they're the only one who've got this system. Other countries have got little bits of it. If you've got a system like this, you've got to decide which cities to defend and which not to defend, which people to protect and which of your people you won't protect, because you can't protect them all.